Today, we find out why the song goes, Mary had a little lamb. Hey, I'm James from Smokin' Dad Barbecue, and if you or anyone you know has ever said lamb, not really a fan of the taste, today's video is for you. So one of the things people are hesitant to try lamb and other cuts like this is they're worried about a gamey flavor, something that just doesn't sit quite right with you. And this often happens for a couple reasons. Mostly, it's all about how you render the fat. And if this is a concern for you, we've got the antidote today. We're gonna be cooking this leg of lamb on our JoeTisserie over direct coals at about 400 degrees Fahrenheit. And that's gonna do a couple of things for us. One, it's gonna help render out that fat, which will remove some of that gamey flavor. Then I'm gonna show you how to season it. One of my favorite ways, it's so versatile this way. You could do it on tacos or on a side with a salad, however you like. And then I'm gonna walk you through how to pull off the perfect cook on the JoeTisserie. As you know from my video last week, I'll put a link down below if you haven't seen it. I'm a huge fan of the JoeTisserie. It's won me over, and the leg of lamb is actually one of the first cooks that actually went as well as I hoped it would using the JoeTisserie accessory. So we wanna get started here. So what we're gonna do, I'll bring the camera a little bit closer. We're gonna fire up our Joe, start letting that build some heat, and then I'm gonna show you how we're gonna season up our leg of lamb. And by the time we're done seasoning and giving that a chance to adhere to the meat, our Kamado Joe will be ready to go for some cooking. Okay, so I've already cleaned out our Kamado Joe. We're gonna be cooking on the classic today, and I've got enough leftover charcoal, I think, for this cook, so I've just banked that all to the back. Today, we're gonna be using Kamado Joe fire starters. If you saw my favorite ways to light your grill, this method actually won one of the least expensive, most fun methods. Makes a great gift idea, under $10 if you're looking for a stocking stuffer. I've got some gift ideas in my Amazon store down below you can check out. Anyways, enough about that. Let's go ahead and get our fire going. I want to light in about the center area because again, that's where we're going to have our lamb, and just give that opportunity for the coals to spread outwards. Let's go ahead and get that lit. Okay, so we've got our bottom vent open all the way. What I'm gonna do now is close the dome, not installed the JoeTisserie yet, and that's because I want to get some heat in our ceramics. Evenly, bottom dome, top dome. I wanna be seeing about 400 degrees before I worry about adjusting my vents for the JoeTisserie. So let's slide this open all the way, close our dome, and now we'll season our leg of lamb. Okay, so for seasoning, we're gonna keep things pretty simple today. I'm gonna be using a little bit of duck fat spray just to act as our binder so the rub has something to adhere to. I've got some 50-50 black pepper and salt. The salt is Diamond Kosher crystal salt. And then we're going to hit it with some of our herbs and aromatics. We want a little bit of thyme. We're gonna go heavy on rosemary. And then to finish it off, I'm gonna roll this around in some granulated garlic, dehydrated garlic, for a little bit of extra pop. We're gonna keep track of our cook on our meter probe, so we'll slide that in while we're here. And actually, it reminds me, this week I'm doing a giveaway with Meter. They saw how often I mention I love using mine and asked if I'd love to give one away to you guys, and of course I said yes, because I do love this thing. So I'll put all the details down below as well as on my community page, but in short, you just gotta like, subscribe to my page, subscribe to their page, and you're entered to win. So look for the details down below, but that's pretty exciting. So let's get started with adding our rub. So while we're here, just gonna insert our probe. If you have a choice like this where you've got a thinner end and a little bit of a thicker end, there's sort of two different strategies. I personally like to use the thinner end, knowing that the thicker end will be less done than where I'm at. So it gives me opportunity to reposition the coals, and I'm gonna show you a way that I like to do that today. So we're gonna insert our probe in the smaller of the two ends, as that'll give us an early indication, a chance to check doneness, other parts of our little roast, as well as make some adjustments with where we're firing this leg of lamb. So I'm just gonna go ahead and find a spot. I'm gonna try and avoid this opening cavity here so I'm not getting any false readings, and I just want to insert the probe till I'm at that line there that says insert to here. That's great. Let's go ahead now and get our granulated garlic, and we'll just roll this around on our tray here and capture any of those extra seasonings to cover any areas that we might have missed. Okay, this looks great. Let's go ahead and get our JoeTisserie as well as our forks. We'll line those up so we know where we want to get this on, and we'll get ready to throw it on the Kamado Joe. Okay, let's check on our fire. Grill's coming up to temperature, just below 350 degrees. It's about 15 minutes after we lit our cube, and it looks like we're ashing over and getting some good embers everywhere. Now, while I have you here, I do want to point out we're not using any smoke wood today. Smoke wood is like a seasoning, just like salt. It's great on some things. Other dishes, you can overdo it. Lamb is one of those dishes where the smoke and the flavors that we're going to get from drippings falling down into our base of coals here is going to come back up and flavor this leg of lamb. And that's going to give us plenty of amazing smoke flavor. We don't need to go ahead and hit it with any extra smoking wood today. So I think we're almost ready to install our JoeTisserie. Let me put the camera back on, and I'll show you how to line up our spit and our forks. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, we'll just go ahead and install our JoeTisserie ring, just like so. When you do that, just go ahead and make sure when you close the dome that it's sitting down on it. If it's not, you maybe need to slide it forward, slide it back just a little bit so that it sits as close to closed as possible. You want to do that, otherwise you'll get maybe too much airflow. It may be difficult to control our temperatures. So you're going to want high heat gloves for this, since we are working over a live fire. These are rated to 900 something, so I'm not feeling any of this. And what I like to do for this part, go ahead and take our spit, insert it into our JoeTisserie, slide it down, and see where we want to line up our leg of lamb. So I'll just grab one of these forks. And so now I can line this up where I want the base of our leg of lamb to come. I don't want it over here where there's no fire, and the drippings will be going on the other side of the firebox. So I'll put it right here, which is going to have this leg nice and central to our fire. Okay, so let's go ahead and install our spit all the way through the leg of lamb here. Just go through the center, come out the other side on the middle there, it's good. Slide on our other fork. Just going to take care to avoid hitting our meter probe there. And I'm just going to confirm while we have the probe here that I'm not touching spit. Yeah, moving around, I don't feel like I'm anywhere near the metal, so it's not going to give us a false reading. Tighten these up and we're ready to get it on the grill. All right, let's get our leg of lamb on, our JoeTisserie. And again, while we turn this on, one of the reasons I love the JoeTisserie for this cook is it gives us the opportunity to cook direct and just render out some of these fats and have those come back up and flavor our meat. I wish I could serve a sample of this to anybody who says I don't like lamb, because I promise this will come out not tasting like any bad experience that you've had before with lamb. So I'm going to go ahead and close the dome. Just watch our temperature stabilize here. Set up our meter probe so we can keep track of everything, although I suspect we won't need to do anything for about an hour or so while that starts to climb. I'll rejoin you in a little bit once we've got an update. Okay, our meter probe has given us a heads up that we are getting close to our 120 degrees Fahrenheit internal temperature. So I went ahead and probed around a couple other parts of our leg of lamb, and we're anywhere right from that 120 to just a touch cooler. I think the coolest I saw is about 116 degrees Fahrenheit. So what we want to do now is to finish off our roast, we want to start forming a little bit more of that bark. We still have a little bit of a ways to go till we hit that 130, 135. It's about as far as I'd want to go on this leg of lamb. So what I'm going to do now to not continue to accelerate the cook is go ahead and open that dome. So that's going to do two things for us. One, that's going to give our remaining charcoal that little bit of extra air for inferno mode, just to help sort of sear and caramelize those fat drippings that are falling into our Jealous Devil charcoal. It's going to be great, as well as by removing the radiant heat that is absorbed into our ceramic dome. That's just going to help not continue to cook as quickly the outside of our leg of lamb. So we're going to get a great crust without overcooking the inside. That's the game plan. let me bring the camera a little bit closer and you can have a look at some of those amazing sounds and sights that I'm seeing behind me. And we'll be ready, I think, in about another 10-15 minutes to pull this off and let it rest. Okay, so now that we've cranked our heat up, what I want to do is just use our charcoal rake here, and I'm going to go ahead and pull and reposition some of these coals two ways. One, I'm going to pull them a little bit more into the center, as well as a little bit more towards our thicker end versus our smaller end, which is where our meter probe is. I've just gone ahead now and pulled our meter probe. It's gotten us this far. We know what we need to do next, and I don't want to expose it to the direct flames of Inferno mode. So let's go ahead and rake our coals into position so we can fire some different parts of our lamb leg. All right, just gonna let that continue to spin until we reach our final doneness of about 130 to 135 degrees Fahrenheit. So this right here is one of the things that I love about the JoeTisserie. So we were able to tell by checking for our internal doneness that we were a little bit less done on this side versus the small side. And so what we were able to do is just get our rake tool here and go ahead and move those ashes from our more well done side to our less well done side, so we can create different zones mid cook and get this to finish even exactly where we want it. This is looking really good. I think maybe another 10 minutes or so we'll be at the internal temperature we want on all parts of our lamb roast. All right, we've taken this leg of lamb as far as we want to go. Let's go ahead and turn off our JoeTisserie here and just take this out and set it on our tray to rest, and we're going to give that about 10-15 minutes to rest before we go ahead and remove our forks and get ready to make some slices. All right, our leg of lamb has rested. Let's go ahead and just remove that netting that was holding everything together and go ahead and get a couple slices. All right, so as you may have saw and fast forward there, we got some amazing looking slices off of our leg of lamb. And the only thing standing between me and some delicious taste testing is to quickly answer a question from a few previous videos. You saw it again today, which is, hey James, what's that knife that you're using? Now over the last year, I've had a pretty bad experience with a couple knives. I've bought a few, I've been sent a few to try out, and they just fell short. I've had knives, the first time I went to go carve up a chicken, got a dent from one of the bones. I've had knives that have arrived dull or just won't hold an edge after they're sharpened properly. And so buying or finding that perfect knife has been a bit of a frustrating journey. So frustrating, I'm actually going to be releasing a video on that in the new year. But to not keep you waiting, I just want to share that I've absolutely been loving this Dalstrong Shogun cleaver knife that I picked up about 6 weeks ago. And you started to see it in some cooks. It's been performing really well. I'm a huge fan. So I've added it to my holiday gift buying guide. And I'll be doing a video on this Thursday. So if you want to see some great gift ideas, you know, under $25, under $50, under $100, whatever your budget is, I'll lay out some of my favorite barbecue gear. Anyways, enough about that. Let's go ahead and dig in and find out how our leg of lamb came out. So I wish there was the technology. I could just beam a piece of what I just had directly to you right now, because any experience or hesitation you've had around lamb or it being too gamey, it's gone. It's like the delete button with our JoeTisserie for any of those bad experiences, because we've rendered out that fat properly. We've got some amazing caramelization of those fats rendering down, dripping, hitting our charcoal, coming back up and infusing that lamb leg with some flavor. Plus we've got our aromatics. I'm getting a little bit of that salt, pepper, some thyme and rosemary, and it's just come together really, really, really good. So I can't wait to go inside, dig into dinner. But before I leave you, please go ahead and let YouTube know if you like this video by smashing that like button, and let me know by hitting subscribe and turn on the notification bell to catch future videos. Until then, I'm James from Smoking Dad Barbecue signing off. And remember, don't be afraid to fire it up.